Because I talk a lot about self-acceptance. And even with that, it's not even knowing who you are, or being told that you're, something else. Or even when you tried to be yourself,
right?
Kind of,
you're shown for it.
Mm-hmm. So, we celebrate it now.
Absolutely. Yes. And because that's the uniqueness of each individual person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know, like, years ago, there was a time where it was like, well, it wasn't like common to be yourself because maybe you were too loud, or maybe you were this or that, or maybe you weren't good enough for the people that you were around. And so you took on this other personality or this other person, and that's who you developed into, But, we talk about imposter syndrome, with my clients all the time. And I'm like, be who you are. Everybody else is taken.
That part.
Be who you are. Celebrate your successes and celebrate your weaknesses. Because if you're aware of those weaknesses and you're willing to learn from those weaknesses, then you're growing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and pretty clear, I don't think a lot of people even want to be me. So, I mean, and I didn't know how to be anybody else. But it's still, I mean, when you say imposter syndrome, I think it's still sometimes it's maybe not enough syndrome, or I don't know, or what if I am, or, like what you said, it's, you get called too much, you're different, and I'm like, that's the beauty of it. That is the beauty of it. And, TJ and I today had the pleasure, we're meeting some young clinicians, and we love their diversity. We love finding out, okay, who are you? What do you do? What do you like? How do they, we've got this and this and this. We've got all this wealth of knowledge. And to me, that is like, you have to have that.
Right.
You have to have that.
Right. And then stepping back and think like, okay, you don't just have to have necessarily like the knowledge as far as like textbook wise in that area in order to be good at what you do and to help someone. So for instance, like, I know when I first started, I never wanted to touch marriage counseling. I never wanted to touch couples. I was like, there's no way, no one's going to come to me. First of all, I was younger, and how am I going to, talk to people who are, in their 50s and 60s asking me for marriage advice? And I was like, I was going through a divorce. I'm like, there's no way, I'll never touch it. And I had one of my site supervisors push me to try and do it. And I was like, it was very uncomfortable. And I felt like an imposter because I'm like, but what's ironic is that I ended up loving it over time. I ended up loving it. And it was because I wasn't taking my own experience and putting it in to their experiences. I was able to kind of step back and compartmentalize and make sure that I'm listening to their story and what they're going through, and then utilize my knowledge and way to build rapport with them.
Absolutely.
So can I piggyback off that? Because girl, I got a whole funny. So the same thing, because as y'all know, I mean, education. And so I'd gotten, this degree way back after going through a divorce. And I said, okay, I want to figure that out. And so I was in the field for a little bit, but then with a lot of family stuff and, I left the field for 10 years, so a lot of growth in education. But I remember when I was with other supervisor and she'd practice in Kissimmee, and they're same thing. And now, granted, I'm a teacher. I taught sex education, but I was teaching like what not to do or just education. This is what's happening. And so I'm sitting there and I'm still like, I'm 54 years old. I saw like 12. And so even 10 years ago, and people were telling me this stuff, and I'm going, I'm right. So I'm like, what in the heaven are they talking about? And this like little device, and we were doing that. And I'm like, I'm sweating. I'm like, oh my gosh, people are telling me about their sex life, and I'm like, I don't even know what that, like, what is that? I'll never forget. I swear to goodness. I had like a 10-minute break or something. I ended up calling my best girlfriend. I'm like, yo, hey, listen, you're going to have to look thing up for me. I don't even know what this is. She goes, what? I go, I don't know. It's spelled this way. And I had to like have her look things up because I was so green.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was. I was like, I don't know how to work with this.
Well, at least you didn't pretend.
There was no pretending because I was like,
right.
But I'm sitting there going, these people are not getting their money's worth because I do not know what I'm doing. And that's what I felt, but.
And I had that same experience actually when one of them pushed me towards grief as well, working with a family. I'll never forget. It was the first time I ever dealt with a family that was grieving the loss of a child. And it was hard for me to hold back my own tears in each session. And I felt, and again, I didn't feel comfortable because I felt like an imposter. Like, why are they, I've never experienced a grief like they have. So I couldn't imagine losing a child. And here they are going through it. And I'm like, how can I help them? So these are things that I know I've gone through. And, the ironic thing, again, by the end of, they had it was EAP sessions. So they only had 6 sessions. And by the end of it, they had already gone through a milestone of the acceptance part of it. And they said it was, I helped them. And I'm just thinking, I did not help you.
Because sometimes, people, there are some people, of course, we know some of our clients need more extensive therapy. Mm-hmm. But sometimes, just someone to listen and not, judge, you could have helped them in that way. You know what I mean?
And it's still to this day, I'm like, I can't imagine how I helped this family. And I felt terrible, but they, I was put with them, and I'm glad they said I helped them in at least some way. But these are the moments that I'm like, am I doing the right thing? Do I need to pass them on, or do I need to just put my head in the book a little bit more, or what?
I'm gonna go with D, all the above, and I think a lot of it too is just, again, we're not afraid to say, listen, I want to apologize because I don't feel some type of way. You know what I mean? Because I don't believe, whatever. I've done that now, but I think I'm so much more confident now in who I am, you know what I mean? And the journeys and everything else that I'm just it took me a long time to get here. Right. And so I am so comfortable, I think in anything now, but I think it's also the fact that I've really honed how to and what to, and, doing the teaching and a lot of research, plus being here, plus just the clientele, that we kind of gear towards us now. And, but I think a lot of it too, going through it with them, sometimes
that's a good point. Going through it with them and just really listening to their experience and their journey and what they're feeling.
Yeah. And sometimes even I look at them and I go, listen, I'm just blogging it right now. So it's all good. We are all good. We're all in this together. And, and I think sometimes what you said, sometimes it's just unburdening it and just not feel. One of my clients told me, she goes, I love when you self-post because again, sometimes I feel like, am I the only one? Am I the only one? And I'm like, oh, please, y'all need someone to talk to. Talk to me because I'm going to tell you 4 times I've already done that. And
yeah, and I think that's too, the older we get and the more we're in our field and the more people we get to, be in contact with, stepping back and realizing we can learn something from them as well. And I think that humbles us too. And, I hope that other clinicians do that as well in the field because, they're going to experience something that we haven't. I actually had an evaluation that I was doing, a full mental health with, possible personality disorder and stuff. And this young man had been through it. He had done all the work. He had done, residential, intensive outpatient, went away to a retreat. For the last 10 to 15 years, he's been through it, and therapist after therapist. And I'm listening to him and I'm hearing him cry for help in a way that he's like, I'm done. Tears coming down his face. I want a good relationship and I can't have one. All these things that he's explaining to me. And I'm just listening. And I'm like, I'm in it. And I've never experienced what he's experienced. Mm-hmm. However, I can say okay, now I got to put my hat on. What can I do to finally get him some relief? And we have a plan in place and connecting him with the right people. And I told him before he left, because he was like, I just feel like I've been in and out of these rooms so much. How am I ever going to be okay? And I'm like, I promise you, if I can't help you, I'm going to get you somebody that can, because I am not going to just send you out here. We are making a plan. And he appreciated just me saying that because I felt him. And these are those moments that were if I can't help you and we can't work through this, there's something out there. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Right. And I think that, that's very good that we're not afraid to ask the question, how can I help you? Mm-hmm. Because I've heard, in my sessions, people come and they spill their hearts and it's okay, where do we go from here? What would you like from me? What can I do for you? What would you like for me to do? And I think that's big because sometimes, people don't know what to do. you know. And then when you have, if they've seen other therapists, I'm not saying anything about other therapists, but they've been through it. Like you said, they've been through so much. And then, they finally get to the point where it's like, this is my breaking point. Like this session is the difference between me getting what I need or me getting to my breaking point. And just to say, what can I do to help you is big. Because now they know that someone's listening, someone cares. And if we can't help, we're not afraid to give them or get the resources that they need for what they're doing.